Here we are. We are just kind of exploring the Teacher Collection Volume 1, which is a wonderful resource in the teacher store. It's got materials for both teachers and students. Why don't I just kind of show what the materials look like first? How many people here have, um, well, I know Ruth and Mark do because they have compositions in it, but Suzette and Nancy and Marge, do any of you have the teacher collection?
No.
No.
Okay, good. So this will give you a
I
great.
didn't even realize it was a thing until, I don't know, a
Okay,
couple months ago.
awesome. Well, it's one of the many supplemental programs, and it takes a little while to become familiar with all those. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just show you what's included in there. All right, so you'll see this, right?
Uh-huh.
So here's the teacher collection, volume 1, and the teacher training materials just include the certificates, and then the nice thing is there's some training, audio training, um, with the composers on each one of those, sharing some insights or some ideas for teaching or what inspired them with regard to the piece. So those are really nice. I don't know if you want to hear a sampling of any of those. If you do, let me know. And then the student home materials has the actual music book. This is what the program is a bunch of compositions by Simply Music teachers. There are 22 different compositions. One of them is a duet, and different styles, different levels of difficulty. So there are plenty of projects in there for students that, for example, are still in time for more music, and then there's some pretty challenging ones in there too. I'll show you the book, and then there's the student audio is just a demonstration of all the pieces so they can hear. So that's what's in the materials. I just absolutely love this book. I use it quite a bit. And teacher collection, volume 1. Here's all the songs. And so here's just to give you an idea. This is basically an accompaniment that you would play. See, here's a nice simple one that could be done early on in the reading process. Gordon Ruth is here with us. She has her song called Pensive that maybe she can talk about. That's a fun one. Boogie Two Shoes is a blues piece by Gordon. Anyway, so you get an idea. Mark has a couple of pieces in here, right, Mark? So, not sure exactly what is most helpful for everybody if you want to just hear some of the pieces. But how about if we start out by having Mark, do you want to share a little bit about one of yours, and then we'll go to Ruth's and then go back to you?
I'd love to hear from Mark and Ruth about their pieces. I have only one student right now who's doing reading. And it would be helpful to hear some advice about how to use this going forward. She's in reading notes. So she's soon to, go into time for more music. She's done reading rhythm.
Okay. Yeah, you'd use it like any other. I mean, we've got our Time for More Music program, which is the first reading from the page program, which utilizes all of the playing-based tools and the reading-based tools that they've learned, and it becomes a hybrid approach. But there's actually quite a variety of levels of difficulty in that book as well, and I often supplement that with some simpler pieces while they're still learning to get comfortable with reading. And so I use the teacher collection for that, some of the simpler pieces in the beginning stages. So Mark, why don't you talk about whichever one?
Well, when the program was just in the process of having submissions, and Gordon Harvey was managing it. I asked him. I didn't submit early on. I guess I don't know. I was just busy. And then at some point, I asked him, "Hey, are there any key signatures that aren't yet represented in the submissions?" And so he told me the key signatures that weren't yet represented, and I thought I will make some submissions in novel key signatures because that way the program can cover as many as possible. And so, like, literally, that was my main inspiration for my submissions, was just to cover unique key signatures. Then secondarily, so with this piece, so three sharps had not been covered, so I did three sharps, and that can either be A major or F sharp minor. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be clever because this is something that I like to do. I'm going to name my pieces in ways that have to do with the key signature. So it's called Amethyst just because it starts with an A, and it's the key of A. So like, oh, maybe at some point, when you're learning what names go, major and minor names go with what key signatures, then it helps jog it. And I've in some other applications that I haven't done a lot with a lot of students, but I've done some. I've played with different ideas of arrangement and how there are some very, very simple kinds of techniques that are very effective for certain genres. And one of them is just playing eighth notes in the bass for a very particular kind of rock music sound. That's like, especially I mean, you'll hear it in a lot of things from over the last 40, 50, 60 years even, but it was especially like late 70s into the 90s. Like there's a lot of like new wave music, and certain pop rock had it. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna make a song that has a lot of eighth notes pulsing in the bass, and so it'll sound like a rock song, because there's not a lot of that in Simply Music. Simply Music, when it has the contemporary genre compared to classical and blues and accompaniment, it's like, I mean, I'm not complaining. I like the songs, but there's not a lot that sounds like really like rock based contemporary. So I thought that'd be fun for students to have that. So this is a very simple rock song with you can just see in the eighth notes, like almost every measure, it's just a single note in the left hand that gets pulsed 8 times. And it's a very, very simple melody. The hands, if you were doing 5/5, the hands can be each in a 5/5 position for the entire song. Actually, kind of like Honeydew or the Night Storm accompaniment arrangement, where the thumbs are both on the same note name. Here, the thumbs are both on A. And yeah, I mean, if you look at the melody, you can see that the rhythms and the notes are very repetitive, that there's a lot of pattern to it. So it's like I purposely wanted to make a song that would be really cool sounding, but like really easy to learn. Like honestly, like I think if this had been a foundation song, you could do this in level 3 or something. Like it's not a very advanced piece physically to play, but it sounds tremendously cool. Kind of like how in foundation, there are blues songs that sound really cool, even though we learn them really early on, right? So that's the same with this. I purposely wanted something that was be like real easy, but sound incredibly cool for the amount of work that gets put in. Yeah, so there you go. There it is. And I don't think we need to go into all the teaching strategies because the audio does that. But I don't know, maybe Lori, maybe you want to now just play the audio so that people can hear it. How's that? Does that sound like a good idea?
Or you can just play it live, or I can play it.
Well, I could. I could. Yeah,
I'd rather
could do that.
Myself.
I'll play it live. Hang on a second.
And it's interesting because when he talks about it being like a rock-based contemporary piece, I guess I didn't think of it that way, and I probably played it like a slower ballad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but isn't that interesting? Because I remember when Neil has done some workshops at conferences, and this is deliberately why he does not put any markings in most of his compositions, because he wants students to interpret for themselves. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
would have a teacher sight read one of his pieces, and he would just be smiling and be like, "That's so interesting. That's not at all how I thought of that piece when I composed it." So it's really, I don't know, I just think that's really interesting. And just like you can take a song and play it, the same exact song in a different style and get a different mood. So it's kind of like that. Anyway, take it away, Mar. Are you ready?
Well, I'm gonna play it like an '80s rock song, and
I'm
I
gonna
will.
play it how I kind of envisioned it, okay?
What, you want to play it how you envisioned it?
Yeah.
Why don't I let you go second? Let me go
Okay.
first.
All right.
Okay. And I'm gonna, by the way, I mentioned in the teacher training that you can make a tiny little adjustment to the left hand in the last measure and then repeat using octaves. So I'm gonna play the 2-section version. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So it goes like this. Whoops. I made a couple of little mistakes in there. My apologies, but yeah. So like like it sounds sort of like a song the Cars could have done in the '80s, or
It totally does. That's so
Survivor,
interesting. I love it.
or like Maniac from Flash, right? It's one of those kinds of songs. Yeah. So Lori, play your version.
All right. I was just thinking you could. So that's kind of how I thought of it. I wasn't real slow, but I thought a bit more melodic. But I was thinking you could like apply a light blue strategy by adding a top note. Yeah, that's kind of fun. That's something they've done.
Yeah, it's nice.
Anyway, yeah, so interesting. I like it as a rock though, because you're right, we don't have really much in that style.
We don't have it. We don't have it, and I felt like we need it. And like I said, like it's a real easy piece. I mean, even as a reading piece, because it's so repetitive.
Right.
And I think that's something we're saying is that the order of the pieces in the program is not necessarily easiest to hardest. Like Time for More Music is supposed to be taught in order. These pieces are the order had a lot to do with just like, well, what would fit well without page turning. So like you really just have to sort of get to know the pieces and get a feel for like, oh, this one seems easy, this one seems hard. And I think this is one of the relative. I mean, there are some pieces in the program that are easier than this, but this is one of the easier pieces in the whole program, and is easier than the second half of Time for More Music for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to Ruth. Would you want to talk about yours? Here it is. Which is a lead sheet, which I love. This is really gorgeous piece.
I just love what Mark just did. I didn't know that was a rocks piece either. I'm going to assign that next week because I know some students are going to dig that. That's great. That is so cool. Well, I just want to say in general, I have about 4 or 5 students working in this collection, and they really like it so much. And I feel a little shy sometimes on Facebook promoting this collection because I have one piece in it, which is fine, but I just think that's not why I'm promoting it. I just think it's such a great collection for our students. And I've had more than one student say, you know, these pieces, they're enjoyable, but they also fit really easily in the hands mostly. And one of my students said, I think that's because they're written by teachers. And not only are they written by teachers, but they're written by Simply Music teachers who know what kind of things that we've been exposed to. So there's that cross-pollination. Some pieces, you know, you can definitely relate them back to another piece. So that is really cool because I feel like the students feel so much more successful. One student said last week, you know, when I play these pieces, I feel like they just fit in my hand and I feel successful with them. And he said, and when I go to try to play, I think he used the example of a Beatles tune. He said, it just feels like it doesn't fit real well. You know, it's much more complicated for them. So anyway, I have felt like they have felt a high level of success with these pieces because they're written with kind of a pedagogical angle, or as Mark did, to introduce us to the rock beat. But, you know, they're very thoughtfully composed, I think. So I just am a big fan of this collection. It's one of my favorite supplementary things that we have in the whole program. I love it. And it's sort of given some fresh life to some of my students who are good readers who just needed something new. And I feel so safe with this because I know they're going to learn good pedagogical things with it. So anyway, my piece is, like Lori said, is a lead sheet. And what's kind of, I use the word weird, but just different for my students is, you know, in the accompaniment program, we have students playing mostly chords in the right hand, bass note in the left. But in this piece, they're playing the melody in the right and the left hand's playing the chords. And not only are they playing the chords, but I said in my teacher training that you can have them voice the chords any way they want to, but I am doing it kind of a really basic, simple way, which just seems to work for somebody who's reading chords in the left hand for, you know, not the first time, but haven't had a lot of experience with it. So for example, the first chord, C major 7th, if they were playing it in the accompaniment program in the right hand, they would just play a C chord and then move their thumb down a half step. But in this program, in this piece, I'm telling everybody to play 4-note chords. So in the left hand, they're going to play bass, C, E, G, B. So just everything is in root position except for the G7 in this lead sheet. And some of the chords are a little bit tricky, but if you notice, the first, the second, and the last have the same identical chords. So once you get that progression in your hand, you're good to go. And then the third line in measure 5 and 6 throws in some funky chords. But, you know, there are only 3 of them, so it doesn't take too long to figure that out. I think my greatest desire for this is that people play with a lot of sensitivity. I've heard students play it real mechanical, like, and that's really not what I'm going for. So I'll just play I'll play it, sort of try to give you an idea of how I envision it.
That's beautiful, Ruth.
Thank you.
You know what I love about this is just like Mark's piece that that introduces a style that we don't really have any of in the program. This is also a style that not the genre, but the style of playing, meaning playing the melody in the right hand and chords in the left hand, is something that is not really introduced in Simply Music. Kind of is in Jazz Clues, but that's more of a left hand trick. You could actually probably use this in as a jazz blues piece, and use those chord voicings. But I like that because it's it just introduces another skill that they really haven't had yet. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that I teach later on when they're in the development levels, is playing solo arrangements. But so this is a nice introduction to that. Do you want to talk about your F sharp half diminished chord there, or is that diminished?
It's half diminished. I think it was either Mark or Gordon who actually told me what that chord was. I wasn't quite sure.
So a lot of people probably aren't familiar with that.
Yeah. So the way I sort of teach my students is I tell them to play an F sharp major chord, so they do that. And then I say, make it diminished. Well, let's just say F sharp, and then add the 7 on top. Okay, now you're going to have to, it says diminished, but it's half diminished. So the part that's diminished is the 3rd and the 5th. So I'll just go back to the F sharp major without the 7th. Take the top 2, as everybody knows, and bring them down a half step. But you keep the 7th as it is, which is an E. So you're playing F sharp, A, C, and E. The reason it's half diminished is if it were fully diminished, the thumb would be on the black note and not on the E. What's kind of cool about that line is if you play A minor 7, it's A, C, E, and G, and then you keep your thumb where it is and just go to A flat. And then you do have to make the big leap to the F sharp half diminished 7, which sounds impressive, but it's not that big a deal.
Very cool. So a couple of, got that new chord in there as well. Anything else that you wanted to say, or does anyone have questions about this piece or teaching it or anything? Mark, do you want to talk about Four Seasons? Is that what it's called? Four Shadows.
There you go. Thank you. I actually have a question for Ruth first.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
About the funky chord.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how you'd feel about voicing that chord by putting the F sharp on the top, because it might make for a physically easier move.
Yeah.
It's an A minor 6. It's the same set of notes as F sharp half diminished. So you would just be moving back to the chord you were on, the A minor 7, and dropping the thumb just to the F sharp. It would sound a little different, but it would be the same 4 notes. How would you feel about that?
I think that's an awesome idea. I love it.
Oh, okay, so
I thought about that.
an option, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Technically make it an A minor 6 though, since the F sharp isn't on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, well, yes and no. If it's a piano solo piece, then it's an A minor 6. If you're playing with a band and the bass is doing F sharp and you voice it like an A minor 6, it's still technically an F sharp half diminished 7. They're inversions of each other, so like it's kind of semantics, right?
That's a great idea. That's why it's so fun to get together, right?
Yeah, that is really a great idea.
Cool. So yeah, Four Shadows. 4 flats. Key signature was not used yet, according to Gordon, so I wrote a piece with 4 flats, and I put the word 4 in the title as a reminder. And I just went with kind of a dark sounding piece, and I don't know why. I made a pun on the word foreshadow by making it the number 4 and shadows. It doesn't mean anything. It's just colorful and evocative. So this piece rhythmically, you can see very simple, lots of repetitive, lots of just together, right, chunks of 3/8 notes in this time signature. So rhythmically very simple, very chord based, like the strategy we use in a number of other songs. You'd want to learn the right hand as chords. There are really only 4 chords in the song. That's another aspect of the number 4 being sort of a clue. So like that first line has 3 unique chords, and you just learn them 1, 2, 3, and then you break them up. And then those chords are all that get used until the second half of measure 7, is where a 4th chord finally appears. And toward the end here, measures second half of measure 6 through measure 7, we're going from the top down instead of the bottom up, but it's the same chords that we've been using, except for those first 2 top, middle, bottom chords at the end of measure 6 and beginning of measure 7, and then a 4th new chord appears in measure 7. Left hand, because of just what the chords are, goes slightly out of a 5-finger position. So like your bottom finger on that beginning is on F, and then your top finger would be on D flat. But you'd basically just need the F, the D flat, and then in that second measure, B flat, and you'd put your pointer there. And your left hand would stay there for almost the entire song, except for measure 7. When you get to measure 7, the thumb drops to C. So very, very, very stable positions, not perfectly 5/5, but very, very close to 5/5 with just some black notes that get involved. And that's it. And this song too, I think I also suggest in the audio that like you can then repeat the whole song with octaves in the left hand, because it just makes it fuller sounding. Yeah, that's it. So do you want me to play it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I also tried this one. I just love this one, and I think I tried it with broken octaves in the left hand.
With what?
Broken octaves in the left hand.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that would work.
A little more challenging, but yeah.
Okay, so here it goes. Oh no, I'm too high. I haven't played this song. I wrote this way down low. I gotta be low. That's it.
Nice, thank you. Another thing you can do, especially in songs like this, is turn them into accompaniment projects.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Because the quote unquote melody is just these broken chords. You can concertina them up as solid chords. You could even treat this as it is as an accompaniment and write a whole new melody to sing along with it, or play up on the top of the piano or something. That would totally work with this as well. And also you could see like it's one of the simpler songs in the book. Like it's just I purposely wanted to do songs that hit key signatures that weren't represented, and that would have a kind of a high ratio of sounding cool with small effort. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, good deal.
I just had a question. When would you suggest starting with this book? So I have several students that are halfway through reading rhythm, and obviously not yet, but would you wait until they're in time for more music, or farther past that, or?
Well, what I do is I start in Time for More Music, and then after the first 3 songs or so, the first 3 songs are fairly simple, or is it 4 songs? After that, it kind of takes a pretty good leap. So then I think it's a good time to, like, this song here, Hush, is a nice simple one with just very simple patterns. That would be a good one to do at that time. If you feel like you need to fill in with some more simple pieces, This is a great book to do that with.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can just look for, this one is just has three things in the right hand, like three sentences. And the second half is just a repeat of the first half.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I think Lori's exactly right about like waiting like 3 or 4-ish pieces into Time for More Music, then reaches a point that matches the simplest pieces in this book.
Okay.
And then this book's most complex pieces are at least as or maybe even more complex than the most complex stuff in Time for More Music. So like 3, 4 pieces into Time for More Music, you can be just going back and forth between Time for More Music and this all the way till potentially after you're even done with Time for More Music.
Yeah,
Perfect.
there's definitely some challenging pieces in here as well.
Yeah.
How about if I just play a couple songs and somebody else wants to play some, that's totally fine. But how about this one, Boogie Two Shoes? This is just using cage chords in the right hand. They already know that. It's just introducing a new left hand, a boogie left hand, which is kind of fun. And there's 2 pages, so I'll try and scroll down after the first page. So that one would be really easy to teach playing bass. Although I don't know if you want to do that in this book, but you could have the students figure that out. That's one of those things where you have them discover things, about the pieces that they're learning. That's where the hybrid comes in. So that's kind of fun. They learn a new blues left hand that they haven't learned before. Do you want me to just play a couple more pieces?
Sure.
Stop me if you want to. I'll just start playing through them. How about that? And Mark, if you want to play any, or Ruth, let me know. Here, I've got the book up in front of me. So. I didn't do the repeat. It's kind of, I always like those measures where there's like, surprise, oh, I wasn't expecting to hear that. Burt's Bridge. Is this okay, you guys? You just want to hear the pieces?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mark or Ruth, do you want to play any of them? I don't want to hog the piano.
I'm okay. You can play.
Ruth, did you have a comment or a question? I see your hand is raised.
I was going to say that I like Night Garden a lot by Elizabeth Gaekwad.
Yeah.
Is that how you say her name?
Gaekwad. It's Gaekwad.
Gaekwad. It really sort of has a classical flavor to me, and
Yeah.
I have a student right now who's playing it really well, and anyway, I just really like it. I especially like the scale at the end of it.
Do you want to play that one when we come to it?
Sure.
Okay. Here's Burt's Bridge by Jeff Olmsted. Let's see. Here's one by Gordon that's really nice. That's 2 pages, so I got to try and scroll up for you. December Rain by Gordon Harvey. So that gives you an idea. I won't necessarily play through the entirety of all of these. I skipped some at the beginning. This is just an accompaniment. I guess you repeat it, right? Hush. This is Carrie Burden's. And then it repeats with the lyrics. And then, of course, except for the last line, last measure there that has that low bass note to finish it off. Willow by Gordon Harvey. Okay, so another one with lots of patterns. There's Ruth's Pensive, Spider Hopscotch. And plus this is a good way to teach some of the, I think of them as like geographic instructions in music, like first and second endings, DC al fine, and because we don't really have too many of those. There's some first and second endings in Time for More Music, but back to the beginning and play the first half again. Isn't that cute? I played Boogie Two Shoes. I played Reflections by, I didn't credit her, Sierra Verity Beasley. I played Bert's Bridge. I played December Rain. Set Sail. Ruth, would you like to play some of this one? There.
I was going to just say a little bit about the teacher training audios are kind of neat because people tell the background sometimes of what they were thinking of when they created it, and that's kind of fun. I had a student recently say to me, I would like to know what the pedagogical purpose is from the teacher who wrote this. I'm like, okay. So I went back and listened again, because sometimes these are all adults, so they're kind of wanting to know what was the composer trying to get at here. So sometimes I have to remind myself to go back and listen to those trainings because they are kind of insightful.
Yeah. This one's great. This has kind of a patterny left hand of a bottom top, middle top, middle top.
Okay, I'm trying to find it. What page is it?
It's on page 14.
Okay, sorry.
And if you want to just play, maybe the first page or.
Sure. Sorry, I was just kind of far away from it. Okay, here we go. I never played that before, but that's kind of the general idea of it.
Nice, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I need to put you on the spot. That's 3 pages. There's Mark's. Oh, here's Night Garden. So Ruth, you wanted to play this one. So yeah, this one's pretty.
Ooh, I turned 2 pages at once.
Thank you. Nice. All right, this one looks, I think, more complicated than it is because of all the rests in there. It looks busier than it is. Yeah, I'm not real familiar with a lot of these either, so pardon me if I mess this up. Postman's Walk. Second page. Kind of cute. That one was by, oh yeah, another one by Sierra Verity Beasley, Postman's Walk. It was kind of fun. You can kind of almost picture someone just walk along whistling on the sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
Into
Yeah.
Mark's Amethyst. Monkey See, Jeff Olmsted again. This, he called it Monkey See because it's kind of based on a Thelonious Monk style. So I think he likes to have fun with his titles too, Mark. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't.
Hey, Lori. I'm going to have to head out, so I just want to say thank you so much for doing this.
You're
And
welcome. Thank you for the suggestion, Ruth. I appreciate
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Ruth. Okay, Monkey See, and this has this is one of those. This is good to cross pollinate with accompaniment variations if you haven't taught that, where we talk about a straight beat versus a swing beat. So this is showing it. Well, this is where you're actually using that skill of playing this with a swing beat. Sorry. Sorry, I had a couple of mistakes in there. You get the idea. Prelude in B flat major. Leanne Van Heerwarden. I think she's in Australia. Moving into the second page. Now we're running out of time, so I'm going to stop there because that gives you a good idea of that gorgeous piece. Mimosa by Georgina Williams. This is kind of a cool piece. Let's see. Let's see if I got this. This one's super pretty. A Thoughtful Day, Dorothy Horn. Does anyone have any comments or questions before I just keep barreling through, because we don't have a whole lot more time? Okay, Thoughtful Day. Yeah, that's a gorgeous one. Interesting. Another one by Leanne here Warden. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This one is a couple of pages. I'm gonna play part of this one. 12/8 time. Okay. Okay, so I was on the second page. There's good, nice, another kind of more of a classical style. Minugahana. Mark, do you know what that means?
I think it means something that's in the lyrics. I think it gets translated in the lyrics.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like Hawaiian, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something Paul. I think it's Japanese. I think she talks about how she was inspired by like having a project in a songwriting group of having to write a song that as if it was from a Disney movie,
Oh, cool.
like a Disney musical, like the protagonist's driving song at the beginning where they say what they want. And let's see, Minogahana, take me away from here. So I think I don't know if it's literally take me away from here, but I think that's the sentiment.
It's a really pretty song. Six flats. So. Okay, so cool. Hey, Mark, there's your driving beat in the left hand.
Yeah,
Sort of. Okay, pituitary rag. What the heck? Does he talk about why he named it this? I haven't listened to his.
I don't remember.
All right, this is kind of a ragtime style by Jeff Olmsted. Oh, he says not too fast. All right, that's a fun one. This last one is a duet. This is the funkiest rhythm. It's very challenging with the rhythm, and I absolutely love challenging rhythms. But let me play just the lower part. I could just play the lower part and have fun with that. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Anyway, you get the idea. And the right hand's like just coming in. And then, but there is an audio of this, right?
Yeah.
Let me play
There's
that.
audio of
So you can
everything.
hear the duet. I forgot. Hang on, and I'll share my audio with you so you can hear it. All right, that's by Georgina Williams. Really fun piece. I worked on that with one of my teenage students a couple of years ago. We had so much fun with that piece. But boy, did we have to count. That's good stuff. Okay, well, I think we got through that's the last piece, right? We got through everything in the book. You got to kind of hear most of the pieces or a sampling of them and hear some of the background and be familiar with what's in the teacher training, and it's really a great program. I agree with what Ruth said, that it's just students love it. There's just all these different styles, as you heard, different difficulty levels, and lots of opportunities in there. All right, well, thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks to Ruth, who had to leave early, and Mark for contributing to that collection and sharing some of your insights today. Appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.